You didn't cause the problem, and somehow, you're still the first one to say, sorry. You apologize for asking questions, for having needs, for taking up space. People call that politeness, but often, it's survival. In this video, I'll show you why your nervous system learned to apologize before it learned to protect you, and how to stop saying sorry for things that were never your fault. Sometimes, over-apologizing is not kindness. It is fear. It is self-protection. It is a nervous system that learned one rule very early. Keep the peace, stay likable, reduce the threat. In other words, sorry stopped being a word. It became a survival strategy. So why do some people apologize even when they did nothing wrong? Because for some nervous systems, conflict does not feel like a disagreement. It feels like danger. A regulated nervous system hears tension and thinks, this is uncomfortable. A fawning nervous system hears tension and thinks, I need to make this stop. Fast. That is the fawn response. Most people know fight, flight, or freeze. Fight argues. Flight escapes. Freeze shuts down. Fawn tries to stay safe by becoming agreeable, soft, helpful, easy to forgive, easy to keep around. It says, let me smooth this over before you get angry. Let me take the blame before you reject me. Let me apologize before I become the problem. That is why you can end up saying sorry even when you are the one who got hurt. Because your body is not asking, who is right? It is asking, how do I keep this safe? Now let's make this more personal. Imagine you grew up in an environment where other people's emotions controlled the room. Maybe a parent was explosive. Maybe affection disappeared when someone was disappointed. Maybe mistakes were treated like moral failures. Maybe tension lasted for hours, and the fastest way to restore peace was to become the fixer. So you adapted. You learned to scan faces, tone, silence, energy. You learned to feel trouble before it was spoken. And you learned that the quickest way to reduce danger was to take responsibility, even when it wasn't yours. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. It's okay. My fault. Don't be mad. Over time, your nervous system linked apologizing with safety. Not because apologizing was always true, but because apologizing worked. It softened people. It lowered tension. It helped you survive situations where honesty felt risky. So now, as an adult, you may apologize automatically. Not because you're weak, not because you're fake, because your body is still using an old map. And that map says, if something feels tense, become easier to love. This is why chronic apologizers are often hyper-aware and hyper-responsible. You are not just hearing words. You are tracking disappointment, irritation, withdrawal, tiny changes in expression, tiny pauses in tone. And when your system senses even a hint of possible rejection, out comes the apology, sometimes before the other person has even said anything. That's the strange part. The apology often arrives before the accusation. You are trying to solve a threat that has not fully happened yet. That is not logic. That is conditioning. And there is another layer. Over-apologizing is often tied to shame. If you carry the belief, I am a burden, or I am too much, then almost any interaction can feel like proof that you have inconvenienced someone. Asking for help feels selfish. Taking up time feels rude. Having needs feels embarrassing. So you apologize not because you did something wrong, but because part of you assumes your existence is already creating friction. That is why some people say sorry when they cry, when they get sick, when they need reassurance, or when they ask for basic respect. You are not apologizing for an action. You are apologizing for impact, for weight, for being there, and that is where this pattern becomes painful. Because constant apologizing quietly trains everyone around you to believe that you are always the one at fault. And worse, it trains you to believe that too. Every unnecessary apology reinforces the same message. Other people's comfort matters more than my truth. Other people's emotions matter more than my boundaries. Other people get the benefit of my softness, even when I needed protection. This is how people-pleasing becomes self-erasure. You don't just avoid conflict. You disappear inside politeness. Now here is the part many people miss. Not all apologies are bad. A real apology is healthy. It repairs. It takes accountability. It shows maturity. But a fawn apology is different. A real apology says, I did something wrong and I want to make it right. A fawn apology says, please don't be upset with me. Please don't reject me. Please don't make this bigger. One comes from responsibility. The other comes from fear. One feels grounded. the other feels automatic. One feels honest, the other feels like a reflex. So how do you change this without becoming cold or defensive? The first step is simple, but uncomfortable. You have to separate politeness from self-abandonment. Not every apology is fawning, but when sorry becomes your default response to tension, your job is to slow the reflex down. Catch the moment before the apology leaves your mouth and ask one question. Did I actually do something wrong, or do I just feel uncomfortable? That question changes everything, because many Fawn apologies are not about guilt, they are about discomfort. And discomfort is not the same thing as responsibility. The second step is language replacement. Most people cannot stop over-apologizing by simply saying, "I'll apologize less." You need replacement sentences, because the old sentence is automatic. So instead of, "Sorry for texting late," try, "Thanks for waiting." Instead of, "Sorry for asking," try, "I have a question." Instead of, "Sorry, I'm upset," try, "That hurt me." Instead of, "Sorry, can you help me?" try, "Could you help me with this?" This matters because apology language puts you beneath the other person. Gratitude, clarity, and directness place you beside them. You are not trying to become harsher. You are trying to become more honest. The third step is learning to survive the small wave of guilt that follows non-apologizing. Because when you stop apologizing automatically, your nervous system may panic. It may feel rude, unsafe, exposed, like you are about to be disliked. That does not mean you are doing it wrong. It means you are breaking an old equation. For years, your body believed apology equals safety. Now you are teaching it something new. Truth can also be safe. That takes repetition. It takes surviving small moments where someone is mildly uncomfortable and realizing the world does not end. And one more thing. Sometimes people react badly when you stop over-apologizing. Not because you became mean, but because they were benefiting from your over-responsibility. When you stop taking blame for everything, some people suddenly become less comfortable. That is not always a sign you are doing something wrong. Sometimes it is a sign the pattern is changing. Healthy people do not need you to be guilty in order to feel secure. So here is the sentence I want to leave you with. You do not have to apologize for your needs, your feelings, your boundaries, your questions, your tears, or your existence. You only need to apologize for what is actually yours. That is what emotional adulthood looks like. Not endless softness, not endless guilt, just truthful responsibility. Before you go, I want to make this interactive. What do you apologize for most, even when you know you don't need to? Your feelings, your needs, your questions, your boundaries, taking up space, being hurt, asking for help. Drop one word in the comments. And if this pattern runs really deep for you, just comment, reflex. Because if you have spent your life saying sorry too fast, you are not alone. You were trained to keep the peace. Now you are learning how to keep yourself.